Hey, hello, how's everyone doing? Hey Nerdyock, enjoy tomorrow, 6 is silver. Sir Shroom, funny name, how's it going? So some days it's harder to start OBS than others. It's like your car on a cold day, you're like turning the engine over. It's like, except unlike your car on a cold day, where it's obvious why the car is not turning on, computer is just like a opaque box, and I just have to, I don't know, get superstitious, I guess is like my only solution. But yeah, there's a lot of latency right now, even when I'm just trying to use Photoshop. But hopefully everyone can hear me. We will be doing the mural. I'm frustrated. It's like I worked the shift today, but it was like shorter, so I was trying to get a painting done before stream, and I didn't. And now I'm all salty. It's just but anyway, my idea today, while I'm working, OBS measures atmospheric noise to get as close to truly random as possible. You know, I would believe it. There's some type of magic at work. Anyway, usually as I'm working just on my own, I listen to audiobooks, or like non-fiction or whatever, but you know, streaming, I can't be playing copyrighted material, especially audiobooks. I think they're very protective over those copyright. Hey Velvet, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by. But I saw another streamer do this, and I was like, oh, that'd actually be funny. There are like tons of films and documentaries on YouTube that are public domain. Also, I've watched this channel before, Periscope Films. It's like the most random collection of stuff. But we can also put on some like crappy public domain mystery film, but I kind of like I kind of want to listen. I like corny old documentaries, you know. It's like they speak in this very like authoritative voice that's really like cornball, but at the same time they can be like so narrowly specific and topic that it's actually like kind of enlightening. So something ocean themed. So I did the first one. I'll let you guys vote on what you watch after this. I don't want to watch like war stuff. Like this has some really cool footage of like what are they called? Like nose cameras of World War II, like strafing trains and stuff. But watching people die, not really the vibe I'm going for on stream. There's like literally, I don't know, we'll pick something afterwards, but there is like an ocean nature documentary that I was gonna put on first. Yeah, it is documentary time. Hey Gilgaz. Yeah, you made it. You made it right for the beginning. I'm gonna be doing black and white mural drawings, sketches, for the supporter stuff. Oh, there's also stuff like old footage of like past Olympic games that might be fun to watch. I don't know. This is Discovery 66. If this is boring, we can change the channel. But I was complaining earlier. I should have restart my computer. Because even just like I don't know what's going on. Like the latency is almost like too much to draw. I think sometimes when I work on, most of my canvases are 4K resolution for South Scrimshaw. But sometimes like I work larger if it's like one single scene that's like panning over. Yeah, and I think when I do that, it devours all the available RAM, and then I don't know if like Photoshop is very efficient about clearing its like piece of the RAM cache it's eaten. I don't know. So, I haven't watched this. This is Bill Owen. I don't even know who that is, so... Heck yeah. Give me 1 second. My computer's freezing. Everything's frozen. Patience is short today. I'll be in a better mood when I start drawing. But like, I feel like closing a window should be one of the fastest things your computer does, because you're turning something off. Like, how is closing that internet browser taking a minute? Slice is one of your favorite documentary channels. Well, see, I think I'll check out those other channels. It's just like I don't want to play like you know, content creators who have their stuff copyrighted. That might be a little bit unfair. Or like I don't know. I don't really know like the ethics of commentary channels. Alright. Movie time.
This strange-looking creature is called a spiny lobster. We know about this creature. We can study and examine it.
We know about
but we know much less about its home. The ocean itself. A world filled with strange creatures and unsolved mysteries. Today, Discovery explores the world beneath the sea.
Exciting. I think this show does like... Oh, look at that vintage animation. This is some quality 60s
Discovery 68.
art design.
The award-winning program for young people with Bill Owen. Welcome to Discovery. If a visitor from outer space ever does come to our planet, probably the first thing you'll notice will be our oceans. Because as far as anyone knows, Earth is the only planet that has vast, deep seas on its surface.
I'm turning it up for you guys and
The
turning
ocean.
it down for
Many
me.
of us have touched it, walked and swum in it. It's a powerful force in our everyday lives, and yet we know comparatively little about it. We can study the plants and animals of the sea. We've learned to make food from seaweed. And to improve our harvest of fish.
We know a lot about the sea. We even eat the seaweed.
And shellfish. For instance, we know a great deal about this spiny lobster. It lives right here on the coast of southern Florida.
I'm picking a
It has
fish
no
to
large
draw.
front claws like the northern lobster, but like most lobsters, it does shed its shell every year, and it is very good to eat. We know about this creature's life and habits, but we know much less about the world in which it lives, the world beneath the sea. If you look at a map of the world, you can see that the oceans cover almost 3/4 of the Earth's surface, and most of the sea is still a vast mystery. We know
Listen to
more
that
about
harp.
outer space than about our own oceans.
Those shimmering violins.
There are better charts of the surface of the moon than of the bottom of the ocean. And the bottom is not all flat and
flutes.
smooth as people
That's
used to
like
think. There are huge...
I think that's kind of like corny music, because selecting musical pieces for South Scrimshaw was really challenging when I got there. And if you look at like modern documentaries, or you just search like stock music documentaries, it's almost always this like droning planetarium stuff, this like imitation of an imitation of an imitation of like Brian Eno type atmospheric music. So it's kind of like charming to hear this Disney Fantasia stuff, you know?
undersea mountains, valleys, and canyons. Even more amazing are the great depths of the ocean floor. The deepest point measured so far is in an undersea trench off the Philippine Islands.
This nerd wearing
Discovered
a tie
in
at the beach.
1962 by the British ship HMS Cook, it measured 37,782 feet, almost 8 miles down. And there may be places even deeper, still unexplored. The world beneath the sea is filled with many strange and beautiful creatures, plants and animals. Some are harmless, others are dangerous to man. The shark, on the move continually.
Menace to mankind.
The bright yellow and brown spiny fins of this lionfish may be beautiful to look at, but some species carry venom in those spines.
Some parts of the ocean are nice, other parts are shitty.
The moray eel is considered one of the most vicious undersea creatures. Both this green moray and the spotted moray eel live in rocky caves and crevices. They can inflict a dangerous bite with those sharp teeth if disturbed.
Very judgmental about
Usually, the moray eel comes out only at night to feed. In the daytime, they burrow deep inside their rocky hiding places.
and they bite people.
There's great beauty and variety beneath the sea. These black angelfish and yellowtail snappers hunt their food along the coral reef.
Hey, Shitty Comics. How's
The
it
reef
going?
is always filled with colorful life.
We're apparently
For defense,
watching children's
this pufferfish
documentaries
can
at the
blow himself
moment.
up like a balloon to make himself bigger. This puffer is called a burrfish because of the sharp spines or burrs along its back. The brilliant gold and blue colors of the queen angelfish, the spot-fin butterfly fish, and this black and yellow rock beauty are all very striking. These colors and markings serve as camouflage.
It's I think everything
Just
on this
like the
channel is
spiny
public
lobster,
domain.
his color is almost hidden against this rock. The stingray is also camouflaged. When seen from underneath, it's light like the water above it. But from above, it's dark brown to blend in with the bottom. Some fish have unusual characteristics, like the seahorse. The male seahorse is the one who gives birth to its young. And this tiny fish, only 4 inches long, is called a jawfish because of its huge jaws, which it uses to scoop out sand and pebbles to make a burrow, a deep hole that it lives in. It spits out the pebbles and even builds a rock barrier outside its front door, using its jaws like a construction engineer. This strange-looking fish is called an anglerfish because it carries its own fishing pole on the end of its nose with a worm-like lure that it dangles and waves back and forth to attract other smaller fish close enough so it can snap them up. There are huge creatures beneath the sea, like this sawfish. and some so tiny that they can be seen only with a microscope. Plankton. These tiny creatures are the food of the largest living creature in the sea, the blue whale. Over 100 feet long, weighing more than 150 tons.
It's not an angler.
Other forms of life live too far down in the depths for us to study them, but they are there. Life has been observed in the deepest and darkest parts of the ocean.
Those are nice.
All the way down to 30.
Those illustrations. Heck yeah. It's like chalk pastel.
5,800 feet. The sea gives us more than just fish and food. There are minerals in seawater. Magnesium, chlorine, calcium, iodine. In fact, seawater contains traces of all the important elements known to man. There are rare elements like gold and common compounds like salt. On the bottom of the sea, there are unused deposits of copper, nickel, and cobalt. And beneath the sea floor, fields of oil and even diamonds have been discovered.
All right, it's already getting to the...
As the world's population increases, there are more hungry people to feed, more demand for products and supplies. These are the reasons why the world beneath the sea is being fished, farmed, and mined. And we've just begun to
It's sort of like
wealth
this
that are
post-war American optimism is like so
We're going
linked to this
on
idea
an
of
oceanographic
like
research boat to see how and where they work. And we'll do that.
Like a modern nature documentary won't be like, you know what else is great? Industrial growth and exploitation. There are all these pretty animals, but they're also sitting on gigantic oil deposits.
The mysteries of the ocean
You can't even imagine how rich they are. Like,
oceanography, the science of the sea.
he got over all these fish real quick.
The basic elements of marine science go back only about 100 years. Today, Discovery's on board a research ship, a collecting boat used by the Miami Seaquarium to gather live specimens.
Angel Soft toilet paper is strong
Those
and
are creepy looking animations.
This is Dr. Robert Stevenson of Miami's Institute of Marine Science. Bob, your kind of work is going to make it possible someday to feed much more of the world's population, isn't it?
Yes, we hope so, Bill. It might eventually be possible to catch perhaps 4 or 5 times as much seafood from the ocean as we now do today. Say on the order of something like
Sponsored by
400 billion pounds
Seal.
per year might eventually be taken.
Bob Stevenson specializes in marine biology.
Okay.
One of the methods marine biologists use to study fish habits is called tagging, as they're doing here with this nurse shark. To find out where a fish swims, how far and how fast it swims, a plastic tag is placed on the fish in a way that doesn't injure it. A record is made of the tag number, the time and place, and then the fish is released. On the tag is a request to whoever finds the fish, asking him to return the tag to the laboratory with information about when and where it was caught. By tagging edible species of fish, we can learn enough about their habits to be able to make bigger and better catches. To find out more about the ocean itself, oceanographers use special equipment, like this gravity corer.
This is the device we use to go down completely to the bottom of the ocean, and when it gets there, it sinks into the bottom and gets a sample of mud.
This long, hollow tube with a heavy weight on top is dropped over the side of a ship.
I want to hear more from
When
Bob.
it hits the bottom, the impact
specifically.
forces the end of the tube down into the mud, and a sample is picked up inside the tube. When the core is hoisted back up, the sample of mud is carefully drawn out of the tube. From these mud samples, you can tell what specimens of life and what mineral or oil deposits there are down there.
There's oil again.
In addition to samples of the bottom, oceanographers can
You
take
guys
samples
chill, we
of
wanna hear
seawater
about the
itself
fish.
with this device.
This is a Niskin water bottle, Bill. One of those devices
And
for
how will
taking
this
that
help us
water
find
sample.
oil?
It was invented by one of our scientists here at the Marine Institute. As you can see, it's a hollow tube, and this tube is fastened very rigidly onto this line, or a line like this. and then the whole line is lowered down into the water at any depth that the scientist wishes to get his water. It's open here and open here, so the water flows through smoothly as it goes down. When it reaches the proper depth, the man on the surface takes a heavy weight like this called a messenger,
Massachusetts,
and he puts it on the line, and then at the proper time, he lets it go, and the bottle closes. The water is now trapped by two plastic corks inside of here, and the whole line
I mean, you might get a research grant.
From the ocean,
Like,
and then the
that's probably how it's
takes the
done.
water off here, taps it off into a beaker, and he can study its chemical composition, salinity,
None of
or
that,
any other
like,
factors that he wants to.
fish
Over
oil
on this
crap.
side,
We want, like, the
there
good
is a bank
stuff
of
we can run
thermometers, which is
machines
also
on.
used to take the temperature down at any particular depth.
And
Just
this
come
is one
back
of
with,
the
like, a
earliest
bottle of
forms
stinky
simple
sauce. That's not
oceanographic
good enough.
equipment still in use today. The drift bottle.
Well, as you say, Bill, this is indeed a simple instrument. It's a bottle with a note inside of it, and the scientist merely throws it over into the ocean wherever he's interested in starting his current study. The current takes the bottle drifting along the surface to some point where hopefully somebody will find it,
And
take the
solve
note
your,
out of the bottle,
murders.
fill out his name, address, and where he found the bottle,
Agatha
and then
Christie
send it to
style.
us. Would you like to throw that over the side? Incidentally, there is a reward for these bottles, so the lucky finder can send them right to us.
Another important part of oceanography is collecting
Have you
live
guys ever seen
specimens.
the one?
And for the smallest of all, plankton, they use this kind of a net with a bottle at the end. The net is dropped over the side and towed underwater.
Garfield phones ocean. I'm trying to remember. It was like a shipping container full
When
of
enough time has
Garfield
elapsed, the net with
telephones,
the plankton specimen bottle
like,
is pulled
broke
back
open.
on board. And the plankton specimen
and then
bottle is
like
removed.
for 30 years,
Inside this
brightly
bottle are
orange
thousands of plankton.
novelty phones shaped
tiny
like Garfield the cat. I've been watching up in France
Of life
and
are
Britain.
usually too small to be seen with the naked eye. Under a microscope, they have many different shapes and forms.
Hang on, let me find a picture.
Plankton are important not only as food for fish, they can provide a food source for human beings.
It was like
as
they
well.
were like a scourge.
We have much to learn from
Scientific
even the most
literary.
common substance in the sea. For instance, this clump of floating seaweed that Bob Stevenson is collecting is called sargassum weed. And it's actually a floating home for many tiny forms of life. This little fish is called a sargassum fish because its coloring is
And then
exactly
they were
like
none.
the weed it lives
The
in.
Agatha Christie story, where the
Here's
killer
another
throws
called the
his
pipefish.
confession into a bottle so that someone would know about his perfect crime.
Inside this one ordinary piece of drifting seaweed, there
Book
are
was
many
okay.
fish and shellfish,
That's all I'll give it.
tiny
I wasn't
crabs,
like...
an abundance of life, growing and providing food for larger fish.
I expected my mind to be blown.
By studying these sources of food, oceanographers are able to help commercial fishermen bring in a bigger harvest all over the world today. To collect very large specimens, a long drift net or seine is laid out in a circle, as this aquarium boat is doing here in order to catch a porpoise. By collecting small and large specimens, food fish, shellfish, game fish, even porpoises, marine biologists can study not only their habits, but also their body construction, their methods of communication, and adaptability
I
to
thought
new
they said they were
environments.
hunting dolphins. It's like,
You can see why oceanography is a
Well, that's a
fascinating
taboo.
subject and why there's so much to be learned yet, not only in the ocean, but in the laboratory as well. We'll take a look inside the Institute's laboratories to see a rare and unusual octopus. And we'll see how a shark distinguishes different colors. We'll do all that in just a minute.
Here we go. Heads in takeoff mode.
Let's fly.
Why are we the only birds heading this way?
Follow my lead. Uh-oh, Salsa Tuesdays.
Here at the
pen's not
University of
working.
Miami Institute of Marine Science, much of the fascinating work of oceanographic research is going on every every day. Many new species of life have been discovered. And
Can
some
we
very
introduce
unusual
forwards
specimens
to
have been
South
collected and
Scrimshaw?
photographed. Some that have never been seen before. People have often seen this beautiful shell
I don't
called
think
the
there's
paper
like
nautilus, but hardly ever see the animal that lives inside, the Argonaut octopus. It doesn't look like an octopus because most of its body is inside the shell.
there's
can see
not
it
like
inside
a
there as
whole
it
lot
moves
of
around.
drilling going on yet on the planet.
In this lab,
So
Dr. Warren Wisby and Dr. Arthur Merberg of the Institute have been studying shark behavior, and they've made some remarkable discoveries about shark vision and hearing.
come on, what's going on?
In
with
the
this?
experiments, a small shark, usually a lemon shark like this one, is placed inside a plastic tube so it can be
Placed in an
carefully
iron
observed
lung.
and held while photographs are taken.
Jeez.
In hearing experiments, a transmitter inside the tube plays different sounds, and the shark's reaction is recorded.
This is the stuff I
For
wanted.
vision experiments, they're able to look very closely at the shark's eye and study how it reacts to various kinds of light. For instance, they found that a shark's eye is able to adapt to darkness. It becomes 1,000,000 times more sensitive when kept in darkness for 8 hours. They've also discovered that sharks actually are able to distinguish between different colors like red and blue. Until recently, scientists thought sharks could only see in shades of black and white. Many different experiments are being conducted here in the Institute's laboratory. In this tank, Bob is conducting an experiment with damselfish and the
And
underwater
that's like
sounds
a
they make.
alien
Inside the
abduction
tank are
tier.
several male and female
Fate.
damselfish. At mating time, the male damsel performs what scientists call a courtship display, an unusual dipping or looping dance to attract the female. And while they're dancing, they make some very unusual sounds.
We listen by using this hydrophone here, which picks up the sound, puts it on this tape recorder, and then we film the fish's activity.
Bob, what's the purpose of these experiments?
By watching the fish's activity and listening to the sounds that they make,
You might be able to
we're
find
able to
oil.
go out into the ocean and just by listening underwater, tell what kind of fish is making a sound, whether the fish is just chasing around, or whether it's reproducing, for instance, or whether it's feeding. Now, a fisherman can eventually do this too, and therefore know where to go to
Man,
find the
it's
fish
like-
and where to set his net.
In addition to film observations, scientists are also using television underwater.
There's like no
The
distinction
Institute
between
of
like
Marine
industry.
Science recently installed a new television camera and two-way sound system on the floor of the ocean right
It
off
might just be
Bimini
like
in
the
Bahamas.
program we're watching.
With the two-way system, they not only can receive sounds underwater, but can also play sounds directly to the fish in the ocean and can watch their behavior on a television receiver in the laboratory on shore. It's far from being a silent world down there.
The ocean can be a very noisy place. As a matter of fact, there are a great many different sounds made by all sorts of marine life. You might be interested in hearing some of these. For instance, this is a sound made by the toadfish.
I actually did just
Here's
read a
a
book that was talking
squirrelfish.
about the soundscapes in the ocean and like the amount of noise
And Bill,
pollution
what I find
that
even more
animals
interesting
currently
are the sounds
contend
that
with.
we've recorded underwater that we cannot identify. For instance, we don't know yet what forms of life are making these sounds.
Actually, kind of like that mystery sounds.
The unknown creatures that made those sounds live somewhere in this world beneath the sea. The things we've seen today on Discovery are only one part of the many mysteries of the sea that are being investigated all around the world. Oceanography is helping increase the world's food supply. Helping predict weather and prevent hurricane and flood disasters. Oceanographers hope to find out what the core of the Earth is made of. When life in the sea actually began.
You know what? I
forms
almost
of life
laughed at that,
flourish
but
at
maybe
great
that was a
depth.
mystery at the time. Like
But before man
tectonic
could
plate
conquer the
theory
sea,
I don't think that would have
And in order to
been
explore,
accepted
he must go down into the
by
sea
this
himself.
like airing of this.
We'll be back in just a minute. Next week on Discovery, we're going underwater with some of the newest and most unusual
I
undersea
like the idea of
vehicles.
figuring out what the
And
core
we'll
of
see
the
how
Earth is made out of by like
man's
digging a
best
hole.
friend in the sea,
You
are
know,
actually helping our oceanographers at work.
I mean, I guess you
Bye-bye.
could guess
See you
that
next
it's
week.
like iron, but food, water,
The Discovery
oil.
Production Unit's domestic transportation arrangements and production consideration provided by United Airlines.
Oh, Bikini Atoll, I think that would have been like at least by the early 60s, they would have been blasting that area. Wake up, find oil, profit. Wait, let's see if they tell us who funded this.
Our guest today was Dr. Robert Stevenson of the University of Miami. Accommodations courtesy of Quality Courts Motels and University Inn, Coral Gables, Florida.
I guess maybe it's just a national education.
This has been a Jules Power production in association with ABC News and Public Affairs.
Alright. Gotta say, not a great one to start on. So, we got tons to choose from. Hang on. This is... Hang on. Where'd you guys go? I just lost my chat window. Give me 1 second. See you, Gilgaz. Appreciate you stopping by. Megalodon is alive, and United Nations is weaponizing Megalodons. That shouldn't take much work to weaponize a Megalodon. Hey, Larry. Alright. We got all kinds of shit to choose from. Historic films about Tibet. NASA films about Skylab. The other option is I found mystery films. So if you guys want to watch one of these, I don't know. That's gonna be the vote. Documentary, murder, movie, probably bad. Alright. In the meantime, kind of like having a section with a bunch of fishes that are like this larger size up top. I don't know why. It's like some kind of weird artifact thing. So maybe I do another fish like that here. And smaller two here. I actually want to give this scene a little bit of space. Draw some dudes here. I want to do the pigs from that Brother May I Have Oats meme. Okay. Poll is split half and half. We'll do another documentary. If they're all about oil, I'm gonna be even more disappointed in the 1950s than I already am. Vintage films about the circus. I bet that one aged well. What else? Vintage films about boxing. Vintage films about fuel and hazardous material handling. That sounds kind of neat. Newsreels. Historic films about computers and data processing. Building Rockefeller Center. Vintage drug scare and anti-drug films. Oh, there are 20 films about oceanography. Films about tobacco. This one's gonna age well. Let us totally save.
That Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. Yes, Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. So round, so firm, so fully packed, so free and easy on the draw.
This really is a cigarette commercial. A 10-minute Lucky Strike commercial.
Lucky Strike presents
Antique films about crystal meth.
the hit paraders and the singing star of your hit parade, Frank Sinatra. Sometimes I wonder.
Nothing helps my singing voice like tobacco. I love smoking and having my lungs be black. He's trapped in the leaf? No, that's why the tobacco's unique flavor is the souls they're harvesting. Oh, this stream, bad documentaries, and I'm working on the fish mural that's going at the end of the part. The next chapter updates. People who donate to South Scrimshaw get a fish at the end. So I'm drawing fish with that. They only told you smoking was bad so that you wouldn't be able to sing as good as Frank Sinatra and get more famous. You know, they're like, God, I'm so jealous of Frank. Kill me if there was another person as sexy at singing as he is.
The nightingale told his fairy tale.
Actually, this probably will get my channel.
Plant, tobacco that counts. It's the tobacco that counts, so firm, so fully packed. So
I'm like, oh, I'll play stuff copyright free, and then Frank Sinatra starts playing. That's like
free and easy on the draw. And now let's see for ourselves that in a cigarette, it's the tobacco that counts. We look inside this Lucky Strike
beautiful
cigarette,
tobacco.
and there you see tobacco. Yes, in a cigarette,
Gorgeous.
it's the tobacco that counts.
That's a log I want in my lungs.
And Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. The riper, the lighter, the naturally milder Lucky Strike tobacco. This beautiful and significant plant, tobacco, contains the secret of your smoking enjoyment. For well over a century, tobacco has been sold basket by basket at public auction. Hear that chant? That chant you hear is the historic chant of the tobacco auctioneer. It is one of the true traditions of our country. And so that you may understand some of the
so it's not
excitement
just
and romance
flavorful
which are
and crisp,
associated with
it's
tobacco,
patriotic.
let's reenact one quick sale to show you the traditional method of selling tobacco. By custom, the warehouseman opens the bidding.
Good tobacco, boys.
The warehouseman sets what he considers a fair starting price. But right away, the buyers start bidding. Here's your Lucky Strike buyer. The price goes up, up. They all want this fine, mild leaf. Notice how the auctioneer watches the buyers. He's got to catch these signals they make. Each signal means a bid. Here's your Lucky Strike buyer raising the bid once more. And I think...
Orders
yes,
500 cigarettes.
Going to Lucky Strike.
Do Seabun
Lucky
and
Strike
Monaco
means
smoke with
fine
seaweed?
tobacco.
No.
Yes,
They are
Lucky Strike
only a good
means fine
influence.
tobacco. For year after year, at market after market, the makers of Luckies have consistently selected the finer, the lighter, the naturally milder tobacco for Lucky Strike.
Yeah.
Listen to what Dewey
Prescribed
Hoffarm,
smoking
case
for
auctioneer,
asthma.
has to say about Luckies.
Tobacco's my business, and I've sold more than 100 million pounds. Year after year, I've seen Luckies get the finer, milder tobacco. So naturally, I smoke Luckies. Smoked them for 26 years.
That's totally not
Yes,
scripted either.
smokers, Lucky Strike means fine tobacco. Carefully selected at markets all over the South, patiently aged and perfectly blended, this fine Lucky Strike tobacco makes a fine cigarette. So round, so firm, so fully packed, so free and
Hey,
easy on the
Coco.
draw. Every hour of every working day, 10 million Luckies are made in Lucky Strike's Richmond plant alone. 10 million Luckies per hour, so round, so firm, so fully packed, so free and easy on the draw. And smokers remember, in a
The way
cigarette,
they
it's the
like
tobacco that counts. And first, last, and always, Lucky Strike means
so
fine
free,
tobacco.
so perfect,
Yes, Lucky Strike means
so
fine
crisp and
tobacco.
amazing.
And now Lucky Strike presents Kay Kaiser's College of Musical Knowledge with Harry Babbitt, Julie Conway,
I'll start
Sully
drawing
Mason,
again. I'm just looking
Georgia
for a
Carroll,
fish.
and your old professor, Kay Kaiser.
Hello, folks. How are y'all? Well, we got a swell song for you, so what are we waiting for? Come on, children. Yes, dance.
Mom, she's making eyes at me.
Da, 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 da. Nothing to do with cigarettes, but we have 9 of these.
Bob Casey is fighting for the toughest border security bill in history, backed by Border
Where would,
Patrol
like, they
agents.
play these?
Deport
Would this
violent
shit, like,
criminals.
play like a movie
1,500 new
trailer?
border agents crack down on cartels trafficking fentanyl.
Alvin Submersible.
The U.S. Naval Propellant Plant is a Navy-owned and operated propellant center of the Bureau of Naval Weapons.
Sweet.
This building houses
Actually,
some
I
of the
love
research
these buildings,
laboratories
like just
of
the
the
aesthetic.
establishment.
This is like kind of excellent. For that sort of like institutional, functional,
The scientists and engineers working
not
here
totally
are engaged in
like
propellant research
like
and
absent
development. Here are created
ornament,
new
but
techniques
almost.
and chemical formulations for solid propellants
Oh, dude, look
and
at
other
that.
high.
What the heck? Screen capped. Everyone forget this when you see something
Energy
similar.
fuels
Appearance
required
on
by the
Scrimshaw.
Navy for tomorrow's defense weapons. One of the scientists who has made many
Look at that. Office.
contributions to the
Got
propellant
like
field
a
is Dr. Otto
Vitruvian Man
Reitlinger.
pattern on his wall.
Dr. Reitlinger is a former technical consultant to the Torpedo Division of the Bureau of Naval Weapons and is now a consultant to the Naval Propellant Plant.
No music.
One of his most recent inventions is a new liquid monopropellant. The discovery named after him is called Otto Fuel 2. This liquid is a mixture of a nitrate ester with a diluent and a stabilizer. Unlike conventional liquid propellants, Otto Fuel is a monopropellant. That is, it contains both fuel and
I'm having trouble
oxidizer
picking
in a
fish.
single, stable fluid. Liquid propellants
I'm gonna
are
draw a
commonly
crab.
thought to be extremely
Or a
unsafe
lobster.
and to present fire and toxicity hazards. Otto Fuel was carefully designed to minimize these, and extensive testing has shown that only a few basic precautions are required to handle Otto Fuel in complete safety.
Thanks, Otto. But they have to handle it
Otto
in
Fuel
silence.
2 was developed, in fact, to respond to a definite need by the fleet. It was specifically prepared to be used as a propellant for torpedoes. Otto Fuel is important because of three factors: safety, logistics, and operational efficiency. Otto Fuel is carefully tailored to provide optimum efficiency and economy in the weapons in which it is used. Logistically, it is a compact, conveyable, controllable source of energy. From the safety standpoint, it is flame-resistant, comparatively non-toxic, and shock insensitive. After original studies in the laboratory, Otto Fuel was first proved in
Torpedoes are
1960 when
good
it
for
was
the
successfully ignited in a
lungs.
rocket motor at the Naval Propellant Plant. The clean, colorless exhaust is one of the main advantages
Why
of this
am I-
propellant. Although the motor
why
is
am I
actually
watching
being
them?
fired, the only way you can
Because
tell
I
it
can,
is by noticing the vibration of
basically.
the surrounding parts.
It's turning out to be a bit more of a distraction.
In actual operation, Otto Fuel is made to work something like this. It is put under pressure to force it through a spray,
I like this
which is
animation we
located
got going
inside
here.
the combustion chamber. The spray is ignited, and it burns, creating a powerful jet of hot gases.
Isn't that?
The energy of this hot gas is then harnessed to provide power to the screw. Otto Fuel was subsequently tested for shock at the Naval Weapons Laboratory, Dahlgren, Virginia. 4 years of testing and experimentation with Otto Fuel at NPP have not resulted in a single accident. One of the many tests conducted upon Otto Fuel at Dahlgren included 20-millimeter cannon fire against simulated torpedo fuel tanks. Despite the tremendous impact and shock of the bullet, there is no explosion. Otto Fuel is not classed as a flammable material because of its high flame temperature,
Where can
about
I buy some?
260 degrees Fahrenheit. And as you can see, it is difficult to ignite even with a propane torch. However, it is much more easily
Parole
ignited when
officer
poured or
review.
spilled on a material which acts as a wick, such as paper, rags, trash, or even such normally non-flammable materials as wall insulation or pipe insulation.
Yeah. Cocktails and invention of prohibition. You remember that movie, The Master, with Joaquin Phoenix? It was a, what's his name? The Anderson. Paul. Oh my god, how am I forgetting that guy's name? He did There Will Be Blood. And the main character that Joaquin
When
Phoenix
you put a
plays
can of
is
gasoline in a bonfire,
super
with
alcoholic.
the cap or lid
But it opens
left
where
off
he's
the
drinking the
can,
kerosene out of a torpedo.
and you cause a
during a
flame
service
or
in the
fire to
Pacific.
reach the open can of gasoline,
It's like a thing
it
people
may
would
burn
do.
something like this.
It's like it would get you drunk.
Now, when we do the same thing with auto fuel, with the cap or lid left off the can, the bonfire heats up the auto fuel,
I've tortured
and the
you guys
decomposition.
with enough auto fuel. Apologize. Alvin submersible polar regions. Here, I'll show you what I'm drawing also. Sorry, I'm about to do this.
The polar regions, ice-locked repositories of time, where, over vast, still secret places of our earth, stand guard the screaming winds and the thousand knives of sub-zero gales.
Okay, I'm getting some poetry out of this.
The smothering mantle of ice and snow.
Narration.
The glittering crystalline shields.
It seems like a real documentary. I like church organs. Also making a note of that.
Still powerful remnants of a force that once shaped the face of more than half the globe.
I once met a guy who worked at the South Pole Research Station. I forget what it's called. Some pretty interesting stuff to say about it.
The polar regions. In the Arctic North,
Can you guys hear this? Is this loud enough for you?
Whose depths can be measured in miles. A region of vast white plains of floating ice. Sometimes flat, stretching off to the horizon.
We need that
Sometimes
oil, give it
crisscrossed
back.
by jumbled ice hummocks, long shadowed, flung up by the enormous pressures of the expanding pack. From the edge of the glaciers of these northern
Yeah, I'm just playing movies
ice
today.
mountains thunder into the seas.
It's not going to be a thing.
To float in silent, ice-ringed lagoons. Finally to make their way southward in solemn, isolated majesty within the frigid ocean currents of the world. Far to the south, an entire world away, is the Antarctic continent, a region of forbidding ice-rimmed mountain peaks. Of glaciers thousands of feet thick, whose weight depresses the surface of part of that continent more than a mile. A land mass nearly twice the size of the United States, from whose borders great masses of ice extend for miles over the surface of the ocean in winter. Where ice cliffs tower almost 100 feet over the coastal waves. Where icebergs are great flat plateaus, sometimes 100 miles long. Where inland, winds reach 200 miles per hour, while temperatures drop to 125 degrees below zero.
This isn't my parents' basement.
Even in
It's
these
my
regions
employer's
of barren
basement.
whiteness, there is life. And just under the ocean surface lies one of the world's greatest concentrations of sea life.
Oh, is South Scrimshaw available on Mac? Are you asking? Yeah, there's a Mac build on Itchio and GOG.com.
2 or 3 together were leading the way.
Just for reasons I can't
The
put it
names
on
of these
Steam
men
at
shine
the
like
moment.
beacons over the polar regions. Wilkes,
Apple has
Nansen,
this thing
Scott,
where
Amundsen, Shackleton, Byrd, and Peary.
you basically have to
Names
pay
that call
Apple
upon others
to
even today
verify
places
your
of
software.
perpetual
It's
cold
like
and snow
$100 a year,
and push outward
and I
the
actually
limits of the
paid that
trails the
fee,
early explorers
but I
blazed.
just haven't been able to get the build correct to where I can upload it. It's, I don't know. Someone who actually knows what they're doing will be able to solve it. But
Today, men come as scientists, oceanographers,
short answer is that if you have a
gathering
Mac,
information for all mankind about the Earth,
you can get it off
and the sky,
Steam or GOG or
and the
Itchio.
oceans. They study the ice, the surface atmosphere, and the deep sea currents. They study the contours of the ocean floor and sample the sediment.
I love
that is
this
accumulated
footage
in
of
the
these
depths.
dudes. Like these researchers.
They learn
This
how
is,
sound waves travel in ice and cold water for more effective sonar, where a submarine may surface in the Arctic waters, or where it may hide safely beneath the ice cover. They search out the undersea canyons that will allow a sub to pass beneath a heavy ice canopy. Oceanographers study the life cycles of fishes found in the polar oceans and the tiny marine organisms on which the entire food chain of the seas depends. Why should these organisms be so abundant here? Does the current bring up some particular nutrient from the depths at this point? Since only a few miles away, the waters are barren. Why is the sediment many feet thick in one area, while in nearby regions there is scarcely any at all? Why are the remains of subtropical forests and fossils of warm water marine life found in the rocks of Antarctica? Has the gradual drift of the Earth's crust brought this continent from warmer regions? There are other mysteries, too, whose answers may point the way toward new understanding for man. A Weddell seal can remain without air for about 15 minutes.
I'm actually enjoying this one.
The seals are able to travel many miles under the ice, using a series of breathing holes. How does a seal locate a breathing hole in a vast plain of ice? How do whales dive hundreds of feet in seconds and withstand the enormous changes in pressure?
I like that they're not going to answer any of these questions. This isn't a documentary for your answers. This is a documentary for like
live for months of darkness
this is a question
in a region that
documentary.
appears to belong to another planet
It's very avant-garde.
rather than to the Earth.
Why does this happen? Why does that happen?
The polar regions, where oceanographers, explorers, scientists, and engineers hazard their lives to wrest the prize of scientific knowledge from the still secret places of the Earth.
The guy who I knew was telling me about the South Pole, he was saying that because
today,
it's
vast
so
armadas of nations
disorientingly like bright in one color, it's like you lose your depth perception almost entirely walking through it. So anywhere that's safe to go is like really clearly staked out with these flags, and you're never supposed to leave these areas with the flags because not only do you lose your depth perception and everything is like your field of vision is just white, but like the ground that you're walking over is like flat, like death pit, flat, death pit. It's like a video game, like pitted surface. And when he was there,
the Naval Support Forces
two people just decided to go out walking, and they just thought it would be a good idea, and one of them died during that. And even when they know it's like, so they've left our little area, so they know that they have to mount the rescue, but it's like the rescuers can't move any faster. You know, it's like, so it's like they started searching them for them before the bad thing they knew was going to happen happened, but they just couldn't get to them that fast. Anyway, it is perilous.
At the opposite end of the world is the Arctic Ocean, opposite too in geographic features, for the Arctic has no continental mass. Rather, it is 5.5 million square miles of ice-covered ocean. At Point Barrow, Alaska, the Navy Arctic Research Laboratory of the Office of Naval Research is the center for many of the United States Arctic programs. The University of Alaska administers the laboratory under a Navy grant. Other Navy grants bring scientists of many disciplines to gain new knowledge about
honestly,
the Arctic.
Probably still does if you go to a lot of these
Director of
places.
Arctic programs for the Office of Naval Research is Dr. Max Britton.
The program is heavily oriented toward all aspects of oceanography, whether they be physical, chemical, or biological. Operating from Point Barrow, research is extended for hundreds of miles on land and more than 1,000 miles into the Arctic
Working
basin.
somewhere they gotta airdrop
The drifting
you
stations
supplies.
constitute perhaps the most exciting aspect of the research program.
Drifting ice islands are great sections of shelf ice broken away from land bordering the Arctic and floating along in the ocean's ice pack.
Those camps, that's super cool.
On Ice Island T3, oceanographers are forcing the ocean to surrender many of its valuable secrets. More is learned about increasing the world's food supply from studies like those of Dr. Tom English of the University of Washington.
I'm interested in the distribution and abundance of plants and animals in the sea, the seasons in the sea, and the various food chains and food webs. T3 is simply an oceanographic research vessel. I might add that it's the world's most elegant research vessel. We can make sustained observations over periods of months and even, as it's now turned out, over many years.
Experiments on underwater sound are of special concern to the Navy. For the effectiveness of sonar depends upon a knowledge of underwater acoustics in the operating area.
That's cool. Yeah, look at this footage. This is actually a really cool documentary.
Scientists collect marine organisms from the ocean depths to learn more about their effect on sonar.
I like this song
Dr.
too.
Kenneth Hunkins of Columbia
This one's
University
going. It's
is
like
conducting
the
research
orchestration
on
of the
shape and
time, but it's
structure of
just
the
it
Arctic
doesn't have that
ocean bottom,
cornballness
the
to
drift
it.
of the ice, and the dynamics of water mass
I mean, I guess
movements.
the flutes
To
are
find out how
kind
the ocean currents
extremely
move
dated.
and the various scales of motion, particularly the motions that change with time. Core samples of the sediment on the ocean bottom provide a chronological record of ice age periods in the Arctic Ocean.
Hindsight.
And since the Arctic is believed to be a key factor in the history of the climate of the Earth,
lobster potato.
Exhaustive analysis of these samples can provide answers as to how ice ages come and go, and just what does happen during these periods. Only part of the oceanographer's mission can be carried out from ice islands. For much of his work within the polar ice packs, he relies on Coast Guard icebreakers to get to locations that would otherwise be inaccessible. Navy helicopters are sent ahead of the icebreaker on reconnaissance missions, seeking out open water and the fastest possible route. Oceanographers often endure bitter weather conditions in their continuous search to fill in the many gaps in man's knowledge about the sea. They are found on almost every type of structure that moves over, under, or through the polar seas. The nuclear submarine, with its capacity to remain under the polar ice for months at a time, can provide the oceanographer with a uniquely valuable platform for his studies. Rear Admiral J.F. Calvert was commanding officer on 2 of the Pioneer submarine cruises to the North Pole.
The early operations of the Skate and Nautilus were really the Kitty Hawk operations of Arctic submarining. It was necessary for us to get much better information on the bathymetry of the Arctic. The contour of the bottom is very important to submarines. We needed meteorological information, and we needed information on the ice cover and its characteristics, how it shifted with winds, to determine whether or not we might develop techniques to predict those areas in which we might find the most frequent openings in the ice cover.
5 words you pronounce wrong 2 years before your brain starts shutting down. Dementia is...
It's a shame all this is like
are also conducted from far above the Earth.
Just about launching nuclear bombs, but
visual reconnaissance by trained Naval Oceanographic Office ice observers and
that
aerial
shot.
Photographs reveal valuable information about ice conditions.
I'm like gonna rewatch all these.
Side-looking radar pierces through as much as 20,000 feet of cloud cover to record surface conditions.
Those.
Optical lasers determine the profile or ridge height of the ice canopy.
This is like the era
and
of
are being
technology
developed to measure
that's like
sea ice thickness.
like emulating the aesthetic of.
No region is
Because the idea, like Aria, they're limited on, like, they have very advanced computing, but they're limited on microprocessors. So you have like weird stuff like vacuum tubes still in service.
Yet the gathering of
5
raw data
words
in the
before
field
it's over,
is
you
only
aren't
the
gonna make
beginning
it.
of oceanographic studies. The information is
5
then brought
memes
back
that
to
you
the
forget
research
right
centers
before
and scientific
death.
laboratories for analysis and evaluation. At Stanford Research Institute, Dr. Thomas Poulter studies
5
recordings made
signs
of
that
marine
you're actually
mammals
living in a
under the
dream,
ice.
and you're actually in a coma, and the doctors are trying to wake you up right now.
Recordings in the field, we'll usually scan through it to delete any bad ice noise or background noise, and the recordings under the ice has added a new dimension to the recording of marine mammals. There is a lot of cross-feeding from one program to the other. We're doing a lot of work here at the laboratory with blind people. Blind subjects can detect the presence of an object. If they take a circle, a square, and a triangle, experiment with each one of them, they can tell us in a matter of just a few seconds which it is. because of the difference in the echo from the different shapes of target.
At the University of Alaska, Dr. Vera Beale
There are actually people who were
analyzes seawater
documented
samples
being
from the
able to
Arctic.
One
echolocate
aspect that
by
we are
clicking their
working
tongue.
on is that of nutrient cycles. Now, these nutrients are substances that are required by plants for growth, and therefore ultimately they're necessary for all life in the sea.
Well, they can't
One
do
of
it
the
as well as
interesting
bats.
things
But,
that has been apparent recently is
Oh,
that,
look at
the
that.
ice cover, far from hindering production,
That is the most
tends to
sciencey
help it
looking
along a
thing.
bit because it provides stability.
Studies into the relationships of polar environments to their animal population are directed by McGill University's Dr. Max Dunbar.
Now, as you know, the Antarctic and the Arctic climates turned cold some time ago, and it's natural to suppose that this low temperature is the dominating factor in controlling the evolution of Arctic and Antarctic faunas. I have become convinced that this is not so, that in fact animals adapt to low temperatures very easily indeed, and that the factors which really determine the amounts of life in the sea, types of species and so on, are based on far more complicated matters than just temperature, matters of light penetration, of food supply to the surface, oscillation of the seasons, and so on.
The exchange of heat between the Earth and the atmosphere is being studied at many centers. Dr. Sven Orvig of McGill University is deeply involved in this area.
If we can change the characteristics of the polar regions, or if nature itself changes in such a way that the snow and ice disappear, then this heat loss would change dramatically, and the whole climate of the globe would change. And perhaps this is what happened in the past.
That guy's ahead of his time. He's on to something.
From great masses of data on polar variations in the heat exchange,
What if the temperature
scientists are creating meaningful mathematical projections and simulating climatic changes on a computer.
That is the most Evangelion looking.
Creating meaningful mathematical projections and simulating climatic changes on a computer to understand better the processes which regulate these changes and how and why they occur.
Do Brillos echolocate? You know, I was like...
To bring about more accurate long-term weather forecasts and to predict
I
future
contrived
trends in the climates of our continents.
a way that, like an animal partnership that was echolocation, I was not happy with it enough to make it an important part of the story. I don't know if I'm going to use it.
Develops methods to predict the physical properties of sea ice in a given area even before it forms.
To do this, you have to understand both the oceanography and the
It would be more like there would be a thing on top of the Brillo that is echolocating, and the Brillo whale is able to like interpret
lake ice, for example,
how the thing on its head is signaling
is
to
composed
it.
effectively of pure water in the solid state as ice.
And it'd be like a very blunt form.
Sea ice, on the other hand,
but
is composed of ice, but within these ice crystals are arranged tiny liquid inclusions
it's
of
almost like too
These
contrived.
liquid inclusions are arranged in a very
I don't know. Like, if I want to talk about echolocation, I'd rather just have a more conventionally echolocating animal.
The chief scientist at the laboratory, Dr. Andrew Assur, is deeply committed to solving the problems of polar engineering.
The time is exciting, and we are getting more and more benefits out of the efforts we made 10, 15 years out. We know how to design engineering structures to withstand forces in ice-infested seas. One of these days, we are going to send the largest tankers right through the Arctic Ocean. We are going to supply...
We did an all cars before, but I think we were going to do the Tully Monster last time, and then I forgot. We can do that.
Soil of Alaska.
Oil pouring out of the soil of Alaska.
Oil.
It's already happening.
We're
An
back
oil
at
strike
it.
in the general area of Prudhoe Bay on the northern Alaskan coast
I
is
knew it.
described as potentially one of the largest petroleum accumulations known to the world
I mean, not that
today.
it's inappropriate if you're talking about, like, why there are scientists in the area, but...
The oil is there, but the matter of getting it to the markets of the world brings up problems that private industry and government are joining forces to solve.
Well, private
The
industry and
results of
government
years
joining
of ice
forces for
research
oil,
by Dr. Waldo
that's
Lyon
kind of a
the
stretch.
Navy's
I
Undersea
don't know if I
Warfare
believe
Center
that.
is now being used to develop giant tankers able to overcome the crushing pressures of frozen Arctic waters.
Look at that board.
To
Heck
give
yeah,
us
dude.
engineering data,
Oh, that's so
we
cool.
have been
Oh my god. I'm in love. Gigantic board. Screenshot. I also love the the faded color. It's like everything is this desaturated like green and red.
been intensely engaged in the science of the freezing processes in the
This
sea.
is a really cool lab.
Sea ice is the stuff with which we work daily, and we must understand it. And to do this, we have built a laboratory in which to grow sea ice, and we study the crystalline structure, the ice bubble content, the brine cell content in relation to the mechanical strength of the ice.
From the research laboratories and from oceanographers in the field, a mass of new knowledge about the polar regions is emerging.
That's extremely cool.
What about rights? That is one.
This is like a... You can kind of tell
New
this
knowledge,
is
too,
U.S. Navy
about how men
produced.
of different nations can work together.
Like
In
just
Antarctica, 12 countries have agreed to share their information and their facilities in a cooperative search for greater scientific understanding of this forbidding region. In the Arctic, scientists and oceanographers of the United States, Canada, and other nations are working closely together to study this vast frontier.
That's right. I drew a plesiosaur instead of
The
a tully
oceanographer
monster.
of the Navy, Rear Admiral
Maybe a tully
O.D.
monster.
Waters, Jr., directs the Navy's oceanography program and has a deep interest in polar oceanography.
Oceanography in the polar regions is indeed of importance to the United States Navy.
Mural is a
For
cover-up
defense
for oil.
purposes and the national security, we are vitally concerned with all aspects of the ocean environment. The Navy has a long history of supporting exploration and research in the Arctic and Antarctic. Scientists still must find the answers to many questions concerning the polar regions to speed the day when the oceans can be mastered for national defense and the welfare of mankind.
Mastered for national defense.
These, then, are the polar regions, where the ice-locked secrets of the Earth are being yielded up to men who can force their way against the thousand knives and the screaming winds of sub-zero gales. Where once man took only a dog sled to seek out the unknown, today he comes to the polar regions seeking a new kind of conquest, as exciting and challenging as any man has ever known. Where the weapons are those of modern technology.
And also,
as they have for hundreds of years, our men are at work at the frontiers. Once they were called
putting weapons on the
explorers.
frontiers.
Now they are scientists, oceanographers. But the prize is still new knowledge for the benefit of their nation and for all of mankind.
Sign me up. It's just a spike noodle. Alright. This whole playlist is great. I'm gonna watch all the Navy ones. Alright, hang on. Octopuses. Lobotopodians.
In Southern California, an observer checks a tide gauge as part of an international study of tides, the rise and fall of the ocean level in response to the pull of the sun and the moon. Aboard a research vessel in the Philippines, a survey team charts the contours of the unseen landscape beneath the water. On a college campus in Texas, a scientist studies water samples from different parts of the Atlantic, seeking to add still a few more facts to our slowly growing knowledge of the seas.
Hedge fund CEO Dave McCormick knows one thing: how to make a fortune outsourcing jobs.
How to interrupt my movie.
The majesty and the mystery of the seas are inexhaustible. Immense in their extent, the seas have inspired the ages with feelings of awe and mysticism and fear. No one can halt the tides or fight the currents or control the waves, but everywhere men feel a compulsion to pit their strength against the sea, to explore it, to wander about on it.
This compulsion, described
If you're
in
just
our own
like
day by the
searching
Danish
for
explorer
visual
Peter
reference
Bruycken,
of something
has
like
drawn
that,
man
just
to
like
the
a boat
seas
crossing
since
the ocean.
earliest times.
I
And
feel
even
like
then, he felt the need to explore it.
every
According to legend,
search engine
Alexander the Great was lowered into the sea
has just
inside
been
a glass
reduced
arrow,
to
the better to
producing
observe its
like
pure-
stock images and stock footage. Like if you would search for like waves offside a book, it'd be like 3 pages of ice stock.
Man has
You,
taken up
you
the
wouldn't be able to
challenge
like
of the sea.
actually search for
The ocean-going research,
interesting footage like
the
this.
knowledge and techniques of many different sciences to broaden his understanding of the seas. He may be a physicist or chemist, geologist,
Would the oldest David
biologist,
Attenborough be public
or
domain?
specialist in more than one field.
I don't know. It's actually hard to find any
He
of his
must be at
films
least part
online.
meteorologist
So that
to probe the complex interaction
I feel like the answer
between
might be
the
no.
oceans and the atmosphere. For the oceans are a great balance wheel of climate. They absorb and store the heat of the sun and moderate temperatures along their shores. From the oceans comes moisture in the atmosphere, nourishing the clouds that give us rain and snow. But sooner or later, by one means or another, most of the moisture in the atmosphere finds its way back to the oceans, from which it originally came.
I'm not getting enough drawing done. We'll go back to movies in a little bit. It's like one too many YouTube tabs open. Also, like, I don't know if you guys can see the slowness of my machine doing anything. See you, comics. Actually, we gotta do an oil derrick. Fish of the day, oil platform. I am gonna watch all those Navy documentaries about research labs. That's actually really cool. There's like a certain point where like when everything moves to computers, and there's some pretty cool like laboratories today you can find documentaries about, but a lot of times it's, you know, they lose a lot of character when it's just banks of computers, or the subject of the lab is like too specialized for, I don't know, any research I'm doing. Still Wakes the Deep. I don't know that one. Maybe I've heard of that. Game on the oil rig. Yeah. I know very little about it. It's worth checking out, though. No, I don't know Alex Caves. I've actually never played modded Minecraft. I installed a shader once for better graphics, but I have not played much Minecraft either. You got the creator of South Scrimshaw to mention Alex's Caves. I mean, is that like a... Is this something inappropriate I shouldn't have said?
Nintendo.
I feel like I haven't played a modded game in forever. Um, outside of mods that are like fan translations or like unlocking content, stuff like that. Like I play a lot of Souls games, and I see people on YouTube playing crazy stuff, but I don't know. I stopped taking the effort to do that at some point. Stardew Valley is one that seems like perfect for mods, but I don't think it's like also doesn't have Steam Workshop built into it, and because I'm lazy, I haven't tried any of the mods. Oh yeah, dude, we've talked about Rain World, like, I try not to talk about it when we start discussing games. Give the pigeon more space. Something's off here. Let's do this. I'm gonna... What if I... Maybe it'd be better to... How do I do this? Like, I don't like how it's split kind of half and half between one of the two colors. I kind of want it to be one or the other. What if I did... So this is dark, dark. These all good. Let's flatten these. Forgot to finish drawing that guy. I'll get back to him. Major changes. So he'd fit there pretty good. This guy kind of doesn't really fit anywhere. This guy can be in like a little cave of his own. Curious Archive mentioned. The Curious Archive did me a huge favor covering South Scrimshaw. I'm forever grateful. Hey Alex Cam. Thank you. Petition Markiplier to play South Scrimshaw. Man, if someone that big ever played South Scrimshaw, I would be able to take some time off my day job. I have been pretty lucky with coverage though, so I'm not gonna whine too much. The solution how to organize this will come to me. And we got Mothman. Okay, what I think I want to do... This is kind of hard to figure out after the fact, because previously I just kind of liked everything I came up with. I haven't really had to do this, like, completely rearrange everything. Okay, this... Mothman can have, like, moonlit night or something. There. Gotta give him some trees of West Virginia. Opinions on Spore. Worst disappointment in video game history, but I get that people love the Creature Creator game. The way, like, Will Wright pitched Spore in that initial presentation, that it was going to be like an entire history of life simulator, EA really gutted it. What, you know. Spore's old school, man. That's like... like, Maxis in the 90s was like... in early 2000s, like, I feel like that's old school, where there's like SimCity 2000 and all that. Will Wright was really brilliant. And in that company was so good for a long time. EA, that's like the worst of their sins, is closing Maxis. I like a pot of Brillos is called a park because they all have gardens. I actually like that a lot. Spore's nostalgia factor. And I think, like, Spore, the, like, the character creator was amazing. And people made really silly stuff with it. Like, so, you know, it wasn't like there was nothing good to it. I also remember in that first presentation, it was like it was gonna simulate evolution, and I was really excited about that. And then it was just this really shallow like RPG class picker type thing. I don't know. It could have been more, I guess. It was like the quintessential game ruined by the publisher's, like, desire to just crap something out and make money. So there's that giant snail. I still have to find space for it, but... Wait, where's that thing I was drawing before? Alright, so... that big snail might have been deleted, but I have a previous file I'll just pull them out of. So I'm not going to stress it. What was that spiky guy called again? I lost my reference. Oh yeah, this is Itchio. Spore was ahead of its time. I mean, it was supposed to be like a light years beyond its time. Yeah, unreached potential. That is a good way to put it. Borderline, like, the game that they were making was canceled so that they could sell what already was made. It's crazy that you can't even play the sequel to Spore anymore, Dark Spore. Like, I think that was like the Diablo clone with the Spore property that they made, but because you had to connect online as, like, the DRM, I think it's just a dead game now. Rip Bozo. Yeah. don't remember this guy's name. I'm working from memory. But he was kind of just like spikes and tube feet. There we go. Possibly not super correct, but we'll just go with it. Yeah, that's it. I feel like I accidentally drew over this guy or something. It's kind of fucked up. I don't remember if he was like that before. Latin for weird little guy. Cut South Scrimshaw content. Someone actually found one of the scenes I left in. There's like there is like a YouTube video that has the like a couple scenes that I just programmed out, but I left the files in because it wasn't that much extra, and I didn't want to like break anything. But I mentioned in the DLC book that there were a few scenes that were extensively redrawn, so working on anything this large, like there's plenty of stuff that just doesn't make it. I'm trying to have like less stuff getting taught. I mean, you never want to like waste your time, obviously. I've just been working to just plan better so that like I don't get so far into making something and then toss it out that it feels like cut content, you know. Get rid of everything at the stage of like rough drafts and stuff. No, the soundtrack right now is Ico. I can put on Rainbow. Oh, well then, yeah, enjoy tomorrow. It probably was your video that I saw. I mean, it was like, it was probably of interest to that person who was asking that exact question. But, I often, you know, when I search for, I sort by new on, like, Twitter and YouTube. Because if, like, a small YouTuber with, like, 20 followers on Twitter, like, says they're doing a stream or something, I try to retweet it just to be nice. aka vanity searching, but it's good to know what people are saying. What are the Greebles related to? I don't know. They were kind of very outlandish design. I guess they might be some sort of they must be an amphibian or something, because I have like saltwater toads. And they seem closest to that. Yeah, that was not the most thought out creatures. I'm gonna be blunt. Like sometimes I plan everything meticulously, and then sometimes it's like I draw something funny, and it goes in because it looks funny. Fat tardigrades. Yeah. I mean, I feel like they can't be tardigrades because they're too big. But definitely that was like the visual part of the visual inspiration. Greebles are evolved mud skippers. Yeah. Speaking of mud skipper, that would be a good mural. You know what's funny? Enjoy tomorrow. I didn't think the video was stupid. I thought it was funny that, like, just to see people digging through the files of the game. Stupid is me leaving shit in the product that ships that isn't essential, you know, because it's just bloat, because the program isn't using it. But I should hide stuff if people are gonna look at the RPY files and stuff. Oh, tardigrade? You've probably seen tardigrades, but I'll put a picture of one. These little guys. Invincible tiny animals. The water bear. But, I don't think these dudes... I mean, I think that's also like some kind of like scan or rendering of their bodies. I don't think their anatomy would make much sense if you like increase them a millionfold. I'm gonna draw this guy tiny. Body way too short. His eyeballs not right. There we go. Slightly better. you should leave the unused stuff if it doesn't spoil anything. I feel like a lot of time I cut stuff, it's because I think it's not good. I don't know. It's like when you're an artist, there's like and you've made something that, you know, you recognize as deficient or whatever. It's like very painful when people see that stuff when you didn't want to share it. These guys look even better from the front. I was so distracted earlier, I drew the lobster facing the wrong way. What the heck? That's pretty bad. You know what? As much as I want to draw that joke, I don't know where I'd fit it, because I like this too much to interfere with the composition. Oh wait, I did want to, where are they? I wanted to draw these guys. The brother, may I have some oats? They have like the faces of dogs. Your cat's mesmerized by the drawing. Seabun eats the oil rig. That would actually be a perfect example for like infrastructure getting destroyed and having mayhem, and then fixing it. Deepwater Horizon is something that Seabun would do, but he would be able to clean it up, so. Well, we can start calling them parks of Brillos, but I believe that I call them pods already. We can add that to the vocabulary. Sea pigs. I think at one point I drew like a wild boar. I don't know if it was like one of the first streams. It's like a wild boar that has like shark fins on it. Need to feel the form of these guys, so they've got their little dog heads. Like big ears, like a sunshade of their head. This is a little too tall still. These guys are such ovals, but they have got like underlying anatomy. That's like what makes the joke work. This guy's tiny. Maybe too small. I don't know. You beat the Elden Ring DLC. It sucked. Really. I've heard a lot of people liked it, but I've also heard that the difficulty was ramped up pretty severely, and I haven't played Elden Ring yet, but I don't know, difficulty's weird. Like, I felt that Elden Ring was very difficult just from the outset. Like, every enemy and mini boss had like huge like chain combos, but I don't know. I can't not play it, so I hope it's at least good, like decent. Give me the damage. Sorry, I need to move my chat window to where I can see it easily. I'm trying to do this dude justice, because this is like... I'm very enamored by this oat pig. C1 trespasses on nuclear waste containment. I was thinking about doing like a whole either like I don't know, like having one of those C1 and Monaco cutaways, or like as bonus content doing a whole one, but the time investment both to write and illustrate it doesn't seem too worth it at this point. Also at the same time where I'm trying to make new stuff instead of just doing throwbacks to part one, I'm trying to be sparse on referencing things that happened already. I don't know. DLC is great, but hard but rewarding. Final boss is unreasonable. That tracks. I don't know. I think the DLC looks cool because it's definitely like extra content. I feel like Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3, they just removed part of the base game and sold it. Bloodborne especially is not a complete game without its DLC. Yeah. Seabun a solution for long-term nuclear waste disposal. That's almost like too useful for Seabun to be reliable in that manner. Because he'll just eat, and then he'll get sleepy and disappear. I think part of the reason I like this painting of these pigs is it has like that sort of like antiquity vibe of people trying to draw animals that they haven't really seen or don't remember that well and have no visual reference for. It's like when someone's like trying to like draw a shark, and it's like the guy who can paint is having someone try to like describe a shark to him, and he's like, so it's a dog. And then he's like, they're like, no, it's like, and he's like, okay, got it. So it's the shark's got a nose, and it's got eyeballs, you know, and then it's just like a dogfish. This would be like someone had like a pig described to them, and then like. The Dustmaster's proud. Thank you. In Seabun fashion, he is the catalyst for a new Big Bang. Creates one super universe. You know, I think in the pitch documents for Shin Godzilla, that was gonna be like part of the sequel or something. Like, Godzilla, like, becomes a god, like, the, whatever weird, like, nuclear fusion is happening inside of him is, like, goes rampant. He's like a, I don't know. Look out, like, Shin Godzilla sequel documents or something. It looked awesome. I have no idea if it would have made a good movie, but it's pretty out there. These guys have their feet in the mud. I'm not gonna draw them out. So they just get little, like, tippy toes. I love medieval animals, like, this is one of those things I can't remember if I already talked about, but, I used to have some really good books. Brother, I'm gonna need some of your oats. Brother, I am petitioning you for the oats. Yeah, the evolution aspect of Shin Godzilla also gave it the plot a way to come up with a way to defeat the monster that felt not totally disconnected from the themes of the film. Like most of those, you know, they just think up the magic bullet. It's just like some like contrivance outside of the first film. Like the way they kill the monster is kind of never the highlight of the movie. I don't think I explained it super great, but definitely it I think it would have been neat what they were planning. He's got to be given like the side eye. There's a video where someone voice acts the pigs, and he does a very funny job. It's like, the oats are for me, brother. Me. I don't know how old this painting is, but if like you were in like the, I don't know, mid 1800s or something, you know, you're not living a life where like you see like a ton of images every day. This would be like probably like the funniest shit you ever saw, you know? Like this like extremely well rendered pig cartoon. I could see people enjoying that immensely. '19th century British. That makes sense. I was like, it didn't seem... Yeah, this seems... That's where I would have placed it. It's like too goofy to be older, I guess. Or if it was goofy, it'd be, I don't know, in a different way if it was older. A pair of pigs. Amazing title. He's gonna be asking for the oops. Folk art. That's why it's good. Outsider art knows where it's at. Brother. We'll put them in a frame too, because obviously this is a very famous painting. Or no, that will will occupy too much space. We'll just go with this. Very important. Fine art. Mural elevated. If intelligent life also evolved the sense of humor as we have it, be one way to relate. By the folk, for the folk. Gigantic pigs. Yeah. It's like you get into that people making stuff out of enthusiasm to make stuff. It's like, it's very pure. It's separated from like commercial and artistic success, you know. In not every case, but like, you know, someone like Henry Darger, who's like being insane in a coloring book for like 30 years and then dies. Like, attractive fish. We'll do this one. I actually want to get some of these smaller ones in. How many creatures in the mural total? A lot. I'm actually... I stopped count. It's like I started counting, then I realized that I had more than I needed. And then... like, not everything is labeled, so I haven't done like a whole one by one, I guess. So, I don't know, I guess, is the actual answer. I started counting and then I stopped counting. Speaking of which, I should actually start putting these in. because it only causes issues if I wait to do it later. You guys want another sea pig? I mean, I guess we could. I'm gonna kind of disguise it though. Like I'll have smaller fish here, and then one can be a sea pig. I remember you had a shark fin. Tiny sea pig. I think that it might be getting more unhinged, but there's plenty of unhinged stuff right at the very start, so it's not gonna be too out of place. My favorite thing in illuminated manuscripts was the monks that would draw like rabbits riding snails and fighting with each other. It's extremely excellent. I think I'm only go for like a half hour more, maybe. I'd love to get these guys in, these small ones. See you later, Sir Chandarius. Thanks for stopping by. In this section, yeah, the pigeon was the first. The snail and everything that way is previous. still feel like I have not solved how to organize these guys. It's getting there. Damn, shut up. Like 100 error messages. I probably did do a black tetra. There are many repeats in the mural. It's not like all gotta be unique. For this positioning, I'm gonna have to keep trying stuff till something feels like it clicks. This might be the actual end of the mural, so I want it to be like cleanly white here. I like this much better. Yeah, I like this way better. And no, I cannot elaborate. It just works. It's like balance is just, I don't know. You're feeling when looking at something. I don't really have any like design principles in mind to follow. The unhingedness started with the Among Us squid. You know that, could have been it. This random list of fish really putting in work for me. Having trouble keeping things small at this point. That's one thing earlier in the mural. I had more small fish. I'm probably gonna have a bunch more here at the end. This guy looks panicked. He's even got like shocked hair. What donation size? I really don't know. Just because I'd probably give it to one of the larger, just because it's very unique. But it's hard to say. I don't really have a formula in my head as I'm drawing. I'm just gonna, when I get like the list of names, I'm just gonna figure out stuff as I go. This guy's cool. Mothman. Well, if it was the highest donation, that might be a little bit underwhelming for them. Things like, you know, like the snail is huge. You know, there are like, I was thinking those would be like the large ticket. Green swordtail. It's very pretty. this guy. This guy must fit in between the orange bars. Go. And there was an additional fish like here that got deleted. Probably do a bunch of really tiny ones here. Something there. Alright, I'm gonna do this one. That might be it. Although I kind of... I keep saying that I kind of want to finish this area, but... Oy. Let's see. Goosefish. This guy looks guilty. His expression. See, I'm on a roll painting these fish. I don't want to... Ah, shit. Push the wrong hotkey, and now I get punished by waiting a minute. There's certain hotkeys in Photoshop, like I just accidentally hit Control P, Command P, which is print. It's like, when have I ever had a printer hooked up to this computer? And you can just see how long it takes for, like, I was trying to hit Command left bracket, which is the hotkey to move a layer up and down to the stack. Very useful to have. These guys can slide down a very small amount. Like that guy. Those are the fish of the day, maybe. Okay, so these guys will be very simple. What if I copied? Test out. Does he work here? Is that better? Nah. That is not better. this line of fish is like the end of the mural. Nah. Put them there. I like having a column like that. Big choices. Does he fit in there? Yeah. Maybe he's better over there. This is way too much moving around. This is not the ideal way to be doing this, but that's what it is. Magically print from air. Well, the ink cartridge business. Can't get rich off that. So. You know what I can do that I know I need is this eel gets one. There we go. And then Oh, also the walrus. He gets one too, for sure. These little guys don't get anything. They don't need it. And, see if there's any. These pigs look better further away. So we need a couple fish there to balance it out. Maybe like one fish here. This area feels correct. Like, that's all balanced. This will fill in. This feels like a, by itself, a very storybook. Yeah, so this chunk is getting there. There's that, I kind of pitched out that snail. He's kind of just got trashed, but what can you do? I like this line of fish here. That looks good. What's the fish of the day? The oat pig, definitely. I feel like it's the most fun to draw. Fish of the day, oat pig. I think that's all I got energy for. I gotta make dinner, and then I'm gonna see if I can finish that painting I was working on earlier. Can't believe it's almost August. Or no, it is August. It's August 3rd. My God. It's like I got I'll probably stream just because this is not done yet. I'll probably stream next week, Saturday. I got a where's OBS? I have a lot of illustration left to do in the visual novel, so I'm probably going to not take any time. Like, frustrated by having a day job. It's what it is, but even taking this day off to not be painting for the visual novel kind of feels like a distraction. And it's not. This is fun, and it's good to. I don't know. This is still a fun project, but I have so much painting to do. I have so much to do. It's like the next visual novel ideal would probably be like black and white like this, where you know, I can just knock stuff out in 2 color. Hang on. Why did everything just disappear? What the fuck? I don't know. Sorry about that. Well, yeah, thanks for showing up again. I appreciate everyone who hangs out. You know, I'm clearly unable to focus on both a movie and drawing at the same time. This lobster facing the wrong way is going to irritate me every time I look at it, but I'm not changing it, because you can't just take it's something you drew and then flip it, like, you know, mirror it. It never looks correct. I don't have to redraw it. Thanks, Velvet. Yeah, you know, this is what I like to do. I like to overwork myself when it comes to art. Yeah. Hope you all have a good evening or night or day, depending on your time zone. North Scrimshaw when? I mean, North Scrimshaw is already in South Scrimshaw. So. But I'm gonna take off. Thanks again, everyone, for watching. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'll be in touch with drawings at some point. You'll see more art from me. So take it easy, everyone.